It was started by a downed power line. Had some high winds, and the power line hit the ground and caused a spark and a fire that ran eventually 12 miles into the northwest corner of the refuge.
We've gotten to the point already that when we were taking people out on tours, we weren't talking about if a fire starts, we were saying when a fire starts.
Conditions were such that it was going to be hard to control. I mean, Georgia, from the initial start of the fire, all they could do was just kind of follow up the flanks, the two edges of the fire. They couldn't get out in front of it and do much because it was just spotting so far out ahead of itself. So there were numerous evacuations. As the fire progressed across the landscape, they had enough lead time. They could see forecasted winds and the direction spread of the fire, and they would actually move people out. I'm not sure that we could have changed a whole lot in the way we attempted to suppress the fire. Again, when you have an extreme drought period like we had, you pretty much have to just ride that drought out. In order for the swamp ecosystem to maintain itself as a swamp ecosystem, it has to have fire. Historically, I think if you look at the records, these big fires occur, roughly about every 20 to 30 years. So fire is good for the swamp. What concerns us is when fire leaves the swamp, how it's going to affect private properties. There was a lot of stress. It's stress about, for me, it was stress about decisions made, were they in the best interest of the refuge? And obviously you have to weigh that against life and property, and neighbors that I knew that, potentially were threatened. Friends, I have a really good friend that is a big landowner along the eastern edge of the refuge, and obviously it was a real concern to him and had a real potential to affect his property. So yeah, there's a lot of stress. We, at the time, had a helicopter on the refuge that is, it's a contract helicopter station here. Most of it was just a matter of talking back and forth between Georgia Forestry and they were telling us what resources they currently had on the fire as it progressed toward the refuge. And then we were just doing a lot of behind-the-scenes planning as to what we might need when it arrived on the refuge. Well, it takes what we call a season-ending event. We have to have enough rain to actually put the fire out. Inside the perimeter of Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge, most of this is a swamp ecosystem. We do have some pine uplands around the edge, and we do also have some pine islands in the interior, but the majority of it is swampland, which has a lot of organic soils, peat. And as the drought progresses, these layers of peat begin to dry out, and these fires get entrenched in that peat, and it's something that we just can't put out. I mean, we have attempted to and spent tens of millions of dollars and never put it out. We just had to wait on what we call a season-ending event, which could be anywhere from a 5 to 6 inch rainfall.